Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We have to have an honest discussion about something. Politically correct grammar that has affected our society to such a degree where you're labeled a bigot or a sexist or a this or a that if you say the wrong exclusive word. Everything has to be inclusive so everybody can feel special. I'm sorry, but not everybody's special. Not anybody's special. There are words to describe certain people for medical reasons or for social reasons. For example, what pisses me off the most is that at one time, men who came back from war and now women who come back from war are normally diagnosed with shell shock. But the politically correct term is post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. It's such an inclusive word that almost anybody can say that they have PTSD. There's a difference between shell shock and clinical depression. People can have clinical depression, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But not everybody can have shell shock. Shell shock, you need to be in war to get. And people who have shell shock have horrible, horrible nightmares. And they're so horrible, it affects them for the rest of their lives. And maybe, just maybe, these military men and women would get the help they need if we called it shell shock again, instead of calling it post-traumatic stress disorder. Because if we called it shell shock again, just maybe the people that feel that weren't in battle, that say that they have PTSD, that really have clinical depression, are taking away the seriousness of shell shock when it comes to our military personnel who come back from war. Another thing that gets to me is this politically correct people that say you can't say crippled. Why not? If you're able-bodied, then you get in a car accident and then your legs are temporarily crippled and you're temporarily a cripple in a wheelchair, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just truth. Now, there are some people who are permanently crippled after a car accident. But now the politically correct term is physically disabled. My problem with this word is that anything can be labeled a physical disability. Anything can be labeled a physical disability. Instead of focusing on the problem at hand, somebody who's in a wheelchair, maybe permanently or temporary, got put in a wheelchair maybe because somebody on purposely broke their legs, or it was a car accident, or it was something that took away their legs. And maybe the people that are in wheelchairs for temporary time can get the help that they need through science and medicine, but we have to stop using the term physically disabled because it takes away the serious attention that people who are temporarily crippled deserve. Another politically correct word I have a problem with. Mentally challenged. Mentally challenged. Hold on a sec. That's a common term that people can use on a political disagreement or whatever. I could say something about a Republican or a Democrat. Well, this person's really mentally challenged. The proper word should be, and it is, mentally handicapped. Mentally handicapped is the proper word. And allow me to explain why. You have mentally abled people, right? You have mentally abled people. And then you have some people who are mentally handicapped. That doesn't mean that they're not smart. Some people who are mentally handicapped are very smart. But their process of putting thoughts together is slow. That's another term that we deemed evil, is slow. Mentally capable people are fast thinkers. Mentally handicapped people are slow thinkers. It's just an objective truth. Now, some people can be condescending with the term mentally handicapped, but in the sense of pointing out that somebody can be mentally slow, that's not an insult. That's just an objective truth. But to say mentally challenged, anything could be considered a mentally challenged. Somebody could be diagnosed with a thyroid problem and say that they could be told that they're mentally challenged. No, not the case. Another politically correct word I have a problem with is the term racist. Now that's the proper word, but the context of it is wrong. A lot of these regressive leftists and a lot of these oversensitive liberals like to use the term racist for any opinion that somebody disagrees with them on if it's a race topic. They'll automatically call somebody a racist. Like, for example, I don't think Black Lives Matter is representing the intention that they originally started out to do. That's my personal opinion. But somebody could say, I'm a racist for not supporting Black Lives Matter. No, I'm not the racist. Have you heard what some of these members of Black Lives Matter have said about white people and police people, black and white alike? Horrifyingly racist and almost terroristic. But people are okay with that, but criticisms of anything that have to do with topic of race, they're automatically called a racist. And a lot of these oversensitive liberals like to redefine the definition of racism. They like to say racism is prejudice plus power. Not necessarily always the case. Racism is when you have a prejudice or a hatred towards somebody of a different skin color than you or a different ethnicity than you. That's a textbook definition of racism. But do liberals want to acknowledge the dictionary definition? No, not at all. They want to rewrite the definition, just say it's prejudice plus power. And I think that in itself is a racist definition of racism, because that's implying that black people can't get into the position of power when they can, or that Hispanic people can't get in the position of power when they can. So saying that racism is prejudice plus power, that only white people can have it, makes the people that are redefining racism truly racist. Another thing that I can't stand is the word sexist. Now, it's the proper word, but the context is wrong. Now, sexism, once again, the dictionary textbook definition is kind of like racism, but it's differently worded. It's when you think one gender is superior to another. And you see a lot of these feminists say that men are sexist, men are sexist, men are sexist. Not all men. Are some men? Definitely. But then you see these college feminists that say horrible sexist shit against men, and then when somebody says, I'm sorry, but what you just said is the antithesis of what you're against. And somebody said, and they say, oh, I'm not a sexist. Well, yeah, you are. The term sexist is normally said against a guy, but however, though, it could be said against a woman who's a misandrist towards a man. However, though, it's still sexism. It's still sexism. So sexism is not when you have an opinion that disagrees with a feminist. No, that's not the definition of sexism. Sexism is when you think, let's say, the female gender is superior to the male gender, or the male gender is superior to the female gender. That's genuine sexism. This is why I'm an egalitarian. Because a lot of feminists are sexist. And they're the worst kind, the oblivious kind. And they're the worst kinds are racist too, the oblivious kind. People who don't know that they're racist and when they claim that they aren't. This politically correct language, like I said, has corrupted our society. And also, what bothers me the most is when I see these college millennials, and I'm ashamed to be a fucking millennial, because they use pathetic words like patriarchy, and rape culture and stuff like that. If you want to use the term rape culture and you put it in the context of Western civilization, there's no rape culture in America. If you say that there's a rape culture in the Middle East, then I'll wholeheartedly agree with you. But a lot of these millennials on college campuses who identify as feminists will defend Islam to the death. They'll say, oh, Islam isn't about this, Islam isn't about that. But yet, they'll say that there's a rape culture in America when that's clearly wrong. Rapists in America, for the most part, are either put in prison or they go to trial. While in Middle East, marital rape is okay with them. Marital rape is okay with a lot of men in the Middle East. So where's the rape culture? My point exactly. And this term patriarchy, And once again, the claim is that Western civilization is patriarchal. No. Not anymore. Was it at one time? Yeah, of course it was. But not anymore. Western civilization is not patriarchal anymore. Men and women can both work in the workforce. Men and women are paid equally. There's no patriarchy in this country anymore. But once again, a patriarchy does exist in the same place these feminists defend to the fucking death. The Middle East. In the Middle East, women cannot drive a car, get educated, express themselves clothing-wise. They have to wear burqas and beekeeper outfits. When they go out, they have to be escorted by a man. Where's the patriarchy again? My point exactly. A lot of these politically correct people are trying to police everybody in America for not saying the words that they find uncomfortable. Charles Heston once put it this way. Charles Heston once said about political correctness, and I wholeheartedly agree. Political correctness is tyranny with manners. And George Carlin had it right about political correctness. Political correctness is intolerance with the effect of coming off as decency. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys.